Sticking with politics, Hillary Clinton ran a soulless campaign and she destroyed my legacy. Those are stinging criticisms tonight from former President Barack Obama in an upcoming book.
Yeah, Mr. Obama is letting loose about Hillary Clinton's loss to Donald Trump in 2016, and he's not holding back about President Trump either. Tonight, KCAL 9 political reporter Dave Bryan joins us with a look at what's inside this book. Dave?
Yeah, we really haven't heard much up until now about what President Obama's reaction was to 2016. We're getting a look tonight, though, I can tell you. In the nearly 2.5 years since Donald Trump's big upset, his predecessor, President Obama, had been relatively quiet about who's to blame. But in a new edition of an Obama bio, he reportedly was described as angry and disgusted, blaming Hillary Clinton for what he felt was an electoral disaster.
We should take great pride in the progress that we've made over the last 8 years.
Always the portrait of reserved and low-key, President Barack Obama ruled America for 8 years. But a new book to be released next week about President Obama reports that he was furious about the outcome of the 2016 election and blamed it on Hillary Clinton, blasting what he reportedly called her soulless campaign and her shocking loss to Donald Trump, which he took as a personal insult.
I'm Peter Baker, Chief White House Correspondent for the New York Times.
These new details come from New York Times Chief White House Correspondent Peter Baker's book, Obama, The Call of History. The new version of the book, much of it reportedly based on Obama's own comments, say that he thought before the 2016 election there was no way Americans would turn on him, and his legacy, he felt, was in safe hands. And he was shocked when Donald Trump actually won the election. The book reports that Obama couldn't believe that Americans had decided to replace him with a buffoonish showman whose calling cards had been repeated bankruptcies, serial marriages, and racist dog whistles.
What I said to him was that what may work in generating enthusiasm or passion during elections may be different than what will work in terms of unifying the country.
Obama allegedly told his speechwriter after meeting Trump at the White House that the future president peddles in BS. The author of the book, Peter Baker, reports that after the election, Obama said, "This stings. This hurts." Baker writes that Obama put most of the blame for the electoral disaster on his former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. No one forced her to take hundreds of thousands of dollars from Goldman Sachs and other pillars of Wall Street for speeches. No one forced her to run a scripted, soulless campaign that tested 85 slogans before coming up with "Stronger Together." Now, the author of the book, New York Times White House correspondent Peter Baker, also writes that after the meeting with Trump in the Oval Office, which we just saw, Obama was enraged and had occasional bouts of anger for several weeks. Hillary Clinton reportedly apologized to Obama, telling him, "I'm sorry for letting you down." Susie, quite a story.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. Dave, thank you so much.